Boy, you could definitely tell that this company was spiraling out of control, and it would only get way, way worse, and way, way worse, and then way, 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 way worse when they brought Vince Russo in, and then the corporate merger pretty much finished that off. I'm John Rant with the retro review of WCW Superbrawl 9, aka Superbrawl 99. To think that this company, even at this point in 98, was king. They were doing some really great shit, even though WWE was coming along, doing better in the ratings, and their pay-per-views were improving, and they would eventually overtake WCW and beat them and just then pound them into the fucking ground ratings-wise. But you know what? WCW could have been competitive for a couple years, but nope. They kept shitting the goddamn bed. Starrcade 98, they ended Goldberg's streak. Then they did the Finger Poke of Doom to start off 1999, and that pretty much just sealed WCW's fate. I don't think that WCW would have survived, even, though the corporate merger was happening. Even if they were able to turn a profit in 99, I don't think anything could have stopped them from hitting the iceberg and sinking this Titanic. But fucking hell, WCW, such a proud company, a once proud company, and if you see this pay-per-view, goddamn, the crowd, it was a full crowd, like almost 16,000 people in Oakland, California. And they reacted to almost nothing. Like sometimes they would give something, oh yay, cool, we see a star. And then they'd see, botched booking or a whole bunch of dodgy finishes. Or, oh, they're seeing the NWO Elite, the Wolfpack and the Black and White. And nobody cared about seeing the NWO at this point. It was just really fucking bad. It was a t-shirt brand. It went way past the sale date as a faction. Gee, I'm describing the fucking Bullet Club now. My whole point is WCW, I really fucking miss when that company was really good. And I've been retro-reviewing the entire last year of WCW. I got a few more episodes, the second to last Nitro, the last Thunder, and the very last Nitro, and just seeing what this company used to be. My fucking God. So anyway, this pay-per-view starts off with an unnamed blonde girl that is actually Tori Wilson in a hotel bedsheet, talking to somebody, oh, you got me tickets for Superbrawl. Oh, you shouldn't have. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. It's very obvious who this person would end up being. Like, who is this mysterious man that she has? It's David Flair, by the way. It's David Flair. And I remember watching the TV at this point, and I was, alternating between watching WWE live and then watching Nitro live. I would just tape one, I'd watch it, and then I'd go to school because why the fuck not? What else are you going to do when you're a dedicated wrestling fan? And man, I missed the Monday Night Wars. Anyway, Shivani Heenan, and today on commentary they talk about Flair versus Hogan because that main event needed to happen in 1999. Tag team tournament, basically we get recaps of that double elimination tournament, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when they do the finals for that. So, Disco Inferno pissed off Booker T on Thunder, hence this match where Booker T had to carry the sack of shit known as Disco Inferno. Disco danced a lot. Anyone who bought this pay-per-view must have been sorely disappointed when they saw, oh, Disco Inferno's in the opening match. Well, goddamn, I really wish I could get my money back. Anyway, or maybe that's just me, because Disco Inferno was really fucking lousy and never belonged in fucking wrestling, or in any kind of goddamn wrestling company. He was a fucking embarrassment. Booker hit the Harlem Hangover, 1, 2, 3. There you go, that's your lot. Shivani and Heenan needling each other, and that was actually one of the best things about this show. And it's really sad to see WCW with a full crowd, and whether it was papered or not, I mean, I'm sure quite a few people were still buying tickets, because their ratings were still good. They just would never beat WWE in the ratings after the Nitro, right after Halloween Havoc, 98, because they had to show Goldberg versus DDP for free, and to think just a few months later, I am just so fucking disappointed that WCW shit the goddamn bed here. Anyway, Shivani and Heenan needling each other, though, was pretty goddamn funny. Then we have Jericho and Ralphus in a dress versus Saturn, who's also in a dress. Yes, Ralphus, the toothless the security guard with some missing teeth and everything, and he was kind of a lovable mascot that Jericho had. And then you have Saturn in a dress. Saturn, the legit tough guy that deserved a whole lot better than he got in wrestling, and he was put in a dress. Nobody ever got over, as far as a wrestler being put in a goddamn dress. Sorry, the Vito stuff never got over, except he seemed to at least try to make it work. Like, this is just a way to humiliate people. I mean, if you want to wear a dress, you want to wear a dress while wrestling. I ain't going to tell you how to get down. I'm just saying, as far as a storyline trying to humiliate somebody, it doesn't make me feel like any more sympathy or any more inspiration to see this person get the victory. At 18 years old, I thought this feud was goddamn shit. Saturn had ended Raven's hold on the flock just a few months prior. And now he's wearing a goddamn dress. And then they would have him and Raven reform as a tag team. After this blood feud over the flock being disbanded. Just, god damn it. Anyway, Jericho did say, you're a cross-eyed, cross-dressing freak. Man, he really is all elite, isn't he? So, Heenan made a lot of comments about Ralphus's, underwear attire. Like, what kind of underwear do you think he's wearing or not wearing? And the ref, by the way, came out with Chris Jericho. The referee was in his pocket. They did a whole lot of storylines here where, Jericho's got his own referee. He's got his own security. He's got this. And nobody cared about any of this stuff because WCW had poisoned the goddamn well. And nobody was going to buy into what they were fucking doing. So, anyway, Saturn at one point rips Ralphus' dress off. And he covers Jericho with his own dress in the corner, hitting the 10 punches. Gets the rings to Saturn. He showboats and then a DVD to the ref, and then Saturn just leaves, and that ends up being a count-out victory, I guess, for Jericho. Jericho would be done in the company very soon after this. I think by, the summer. He would just make sporadic appearances. His final match was, on a house show in July. Though Saturn did say one funny line, life's a drag. Anyway, Billy Kidman versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. Cruiserweight Championship. They really tried. They would have better matches later. Unfortunately, during the more dying days of WCW, the crowd kind of, they didn't really react to this. Chavo was more aggressive. Shooting Star Press 1, 2, 3. Henning and Barry Windham versus Benoit and Malenko. 2 out of 3 falls match for the vacant WCW Tag Team Championships. Okay, so follow me on this for the double elimination tournament format. So what the announcers explained is that Benoit and Malenko had already dropped the fall to Henning and Windham, and to get to the third fall, they had to obviously win the next fall. But then if Henning and Windham won the first fall, they would win straight up. So basically, they were starting from behind 1-0 or whatever. Benoit would use the same strategy 8.5 years later, coming from behind to win a handicap match. Man, Benoit wasn't such a piece of shit. I would feel more bad about making fun of that. But anyway, this wasn't good. It wasn't. I don't mind 2 out of 3 falls matches if you're trying to build a championship, but it wasn't good. The first fall took forever, and I get why they did it. But they shouldn't have done it where, the first fall was already won on Nitro. Just fucking have it happen at the pay-per-view. And then do a cheap finish for the third fall. But no, they couldn't fucking do that. It just went forever. The crowd didn't really react to much of anything. The crowd actually got bored. There was a glow relief and Windham taps out. And then during the 30-second rest period they had, while Benoit is battling Kurt Hennig, Windham takes his belt off and chokes out Malenko, so no wonder, inspiration for Benoit. And then also got the covering the belt 1, 2, 3. So Windham and Hennig win. Yeah, that's pretty much it right there, and one hardly needs to go on about that. Now, I like the West Texas Rednecks, but they didn't do a whole lot of good, a lot of good to get me inspired to care about the WCW Tag Team Championships, because really at this point, a lot of dodgy decisions were just pretty much fucking wrecking any semblance of coherency in this company. This company just wasn't fucking firing on any cylinders, no matter the efforts of the talents that were actually trying. They were putting in the efforts that, yeah, we're getting guaranteed money, but we're like, okay, we're going to show that you could build a company around us. Anyway, we get footage of Flair wanting Bret to defend the U.S. title against Roddy Piper on Nitro a couple weeks prior. But Bret Hart was injured. Well, Will Sasso got involved because, and nothing against Will Sasso as a comedian. At the time, Mad TV, all that shit. But this was dumb. Piper won it with the most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling, surprise roll-up. And we would then get the U.S. Championship match later. Nash and Hall with Luger and Liz versus Ray and Conan. Liz's hair on the line versus Ray's mask. And yes, this is the infamous pay-per-view where they decide to remove Rey Mysterio's mask, make him look like he's 14 goddamn years old. And seriously, if you see him unmasked, he looks the same. Like, he may have some gray in his beard, goatee, stuff like that. He still looks the same. Some people just don't age. This was stupid. And it wasn't even that good of a match. Like, Luger was injured. He was supposed to be part of this. And Luger, suffered, a torn bicep or something like that. He had, or bicep, tricep. And he had a cast on his arm. Of course, he would make his presence known a little bit later. Liz looking fucking gorgeous. God damn, I miss Elizabeth. I really do. Thanks, Luger. Thanks for helping contribute to her death. You dumb son of a bitch. You're gonna rot in hell for what you fucking did. But anyway, Ray got tossed around. Lex attacks Conan later, and then Liz distracts. Ray hits a moonsault, knocking out Nash. I mean, even though it was kind of a weird, fluky spot. And then outsider edge to Ray, and Nash gets put on top of him. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Ray, lost, even though Nash was totally knocked out or whatever. Oh, Ray didn't get buried. Yeah, he totally fucking did. So whoever fucking booked this, and I think Nash was booking by this point, whoever fucking thought it was a good idea to remove the mask from the various cruiserweights was, they were a goddamn idiot. Juventud Guerrero, at the previous Superbrawl in 98, lost to Chris Jericho and had to remove his mask. Now, you could argue that Juvi had a little bit more success when he had his mask removed, but still, Ray, his mask was his identity. And thankfully, WWE decided to mask him up again when he came there, about a year and a half, about a year and a quarter after WCW closed down. But just seriously, this was dumb. And Ray didn't really, he was known as a giant killer, he would get some revenge. No, he wouldn't. He'd barely get any revenge before getting just shoved into, pointless feuds and everything. It did nothing for Nash. It did nothing for Ray. It was fucking shit. And then we get, God damn it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Scott Steiner bringing some woman in the ring where the commentators get distracted by the fact, she flashes her panties as she gets in the ring. Don't know why I suddenly started to turn to Apu there. I apologize. And he runs down DDP's wife because DDP's wife, Kimberly, got taken out, and Steiner saying it wasn't my fault. Damn it! That's where Snitsky got the line from. I was there for Snitsky's debut, by the way. I may actually retro-review that episode of Raw at one point. We chanted Baby Killer at him. And if you know why, and if you remember Snitsky's debut, yes, it was funny. It was funny, and we cracked up the camera crew. Anyway, Scott Steiner defending the TV championship against DDP. They sure tried. They would have a bear match agreed to close out the WCW pay-per-view chapter, even though that match did have some interference. Buff got involved, but this is where Buff was coming back from his neck injury or stuff like that. His neck injury that may or may not have been legit by this point. So he comes out and helps Scott Steiner. DDP says, no, let him go. He battles him 2-on-1. Scott's tights gets pulled down because that's what we really need to see with Scott Steiner's big bad booty. That's literally what we saw. And then what happens is Buff Bagwell starts, clipping the turnbuckle pads away, but still leaves them covered so, Scott can remove them easier later. The ref decides, hey, Buff, I've had enough of your stuff, and you're going to the back, basically. He doesn't rhyme very good. Charles Robinson, by the way, who would end up turning heel later this year. 1999 was not a very good year for WCW. 1999 wasn't even the best year creatively for WWE, but they were just doing, despite any of the bad shit they did, they just were managing to get bigger ratings. So anyway, Scott Steiner chases a referee around after he got rid of Buff's stuff, and then would slam DDP into the buckles, expose buckles a little bit later. We get the Steiner recliner on, DDP would pass out. Not tap out, he would pass out. Pretty much like at Greed. There would be nobody left, except the AOL Time Warner merger that was impending. So, stretcher job for DDP. I think he would be back by spring. Here's the frustrating thing about 99. And I've shit on 99. This review is going a bit long, but you got Spring Stampede 1999 in Tacoma Dome, which I wasn't able to go to, unfortunately, just due to being busy at the time, and it is what it is. While it isn't top to bottom the greatest pay-per-view in WCW history, it's something that I hold dear. And I think the positives outweigh the negatives. And I think it was the last great WCW pay-per-view, even with the faults. And then it would really get bad from May to June to whatever. It made no goddamn sense. This is before Russo came in and pretty much creatively bankrupted the company. And I mean creatively, because the company was going to lose money anyway. But yeah, DDP does a stretcher job. Hall with Disco versus Roddy Piper, U.S. Championship. One of the saddest things I've seen, and I love Roddy Piper. That's one of the reasons I got this shirt, and also Roddy Piper's death really hit me hard. You had Dusty Rhodes pass away in 2015, I think June, early July 2015. And then you had Roddy Piper pass away in August of 2015. And just that those two in particular, really goddamn sad. This is so sad. Hall wasn't even in the best shape either. His demons had unfortunately taken hold. And Piper was in and out of wrestling. Now, he had a big money contract from WCW. I'd be shocked if he wasn't at least getting $1.5 million a year. But Piper attacked Disco, because everybody hates Disco. Hall used the steps to knock out Piper. And the referee gets distracted. Nash attacks Piper, and then Hall gets a roll-up with the ropes 1, 2, 3. And Piper's like, wait, that wasn't 3. Yes, it was. Piper didn't want to take the pin, and I don't blame him. Why would he want to lose the title in that fashion? Why would you give him the title? What the hell's going on? And that brief brawl, and everybody gets involved, and Disco tries to act cool and tries to act tough, and he's not, and he's an embarrassment to wrestling. Damn Kermit the Frog sounding motherfucker. Anyway, this is just bad. Really bad. So I don't have the words. It's so fucking bad. Unfortunately, what's also bad is Bam Bam Bigelow versus Goldberg. They tried, and Bam Bam kept stopping Goldberg's momentum, targeting the knee, doing low blows, that kind of stuff, and just really trying to beat him down. But this was so it went on like, I think 11 minutes. It should have been 8, maybe. Bam Bam was not the athlete that he was even 4 years prior, even 3 years prior, at WrestleMania 11 when he faced off against Lawrence Taylor. The spear did get dodged, but eventually spear, jackhammer, sort of. I mean, I think Goldberg had a bad shoulder. I think he even had a bad knee at one point. So putting him in a ladder match the previous pay-per-view probably wasn't the best idea. So, and lifting up Bam Bam, even though Bam Bam can go up light, that's got to be difficult to do. And Goldberg had been running pretty hard for a while, but it wasn't very good. Still better than the one he hit on The Fiend. Granted, that was 2020, but still, this was not good. Goldberg did win, though. He avenged what Bam Bam had done to him, interfering in an overbooked match at Starrcade 98. Flair versus Hogan, WCW title, because we needed this motherfucking shit to happen in 1999. It was shit. This was dog shit. There were fans throwing trash in the ring. Fans were more interested in the fight that was going on in the goddamn crowd. And they both bled, because of course Flair bled. I mean, he had red tights, and if he didn't have red tights, it would have been soaked red by the time he was done. Tori shows up, but they don't know they don't know what her name is. To be fair, Tori is very distracting, at least at this point. Distracting also because she's kind of a brain dead moron, if you think about it, and you know what I'm talking about. She slaps Rick, and the ref gets knocked down when, Hogan powers out of a pin, and Flair lands on the referee, but then Hogan ends up elbowing the referee, and then does a leg drop, and then what the hell's going on? They're all bleeding. Suddenly this mask guy shows up. Who's this mask guy? You could fucking tell by looking at the eyes. It doesn't really take that much. It's David Flair. He stun guns Rick. Oh no, who could this person be? It could be Bischoff, it could be somebody. Oh, it's Ric Flair. By the way, Hogan covers for 3. Retains the championship. The championship that he fought so hard to win with the finger poke of doom. And then it would be David Flair that would win this. And this is just all I got to fucking say about this goddamn motherfucking show. Here's one reason that I'm pissed off about this, and I'll close with this. This is how stupid WCW was. One, Bischoff had no goddamn idea how to run a goddamn company, and he didn't. He fucking didn't. It got taken to new heights because of great ideas that he had, and also those great ideas were part of the reason why it got bankrupted. And then the AOL Time Warner merger. So, Flair was one of the biggest baby faces from the time that he left in that whole lawsuit thing, and we want Flair, we want Flair. September 14th, 1998, Flair had the big return, everything, the big pop, and I mean a huge pop. Big emotional thing. Then he became president right after Starrcade 98, I believe on the Nitro right after Starrcade 98, and he's the president for 90 days. And he was a babyface here. By the next pay-per-view, he would be using his power for bad. He would do the barbed wire steel cage match, not as bad as the Yappy Pappy strap match. That is something they actually named at Uncensored 2000, but the barbed wire first blood steel cage match, where he put everything in his favor and finally won the championship, and he was a heel after being the biggest goddamn babyface they'd had in a while, outside of Goldberg. I mean, maybe even more so because Flair could wrestle, but Flair was the biggest babyface in September, and by March, 6 months later, 6 fucking months later, they fucking nuked it. And you wonder why WCW went out of fucking business. Just fucking goddamn revolting. Yeah, this pay-per-view is dog shit. I remember hating this pay-per-view before. I hate it more now because WCW had such an opportunity. They had their foot on WWE's throat at Starrcade 97. They let up. I didn't want WWE to die, but they had a chance to just press down, and they didn't. And they just kept making mistake after mistake after mistake. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charm Rethlin. I'll see you soon.